Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Abuse Recovery Success. We are in for a really big treat today because while this podcast is amazing, it provides light, hope, strength for so many of us who have endured trauma, addiction, and many other things in life. We've got someone here today who's going to really share an enlightening, upbeat story about what he's doing. Ivery Mckee. Ivery Mckee, welcome to Abuse Recovery Success.
Thank you for having me. It's a privilege to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited. You're a motivational entrepreneur and a talk show host. You're a guy doing his thing, and I can't wait to hear how you got here, what you're doing, and where you're going. So without further ado, welcome to Abuse Recovery Success. Tell us all about you.
Thank you. And you guys are doing amazing work, so keep at it. And just to give you guys a summary of my life story in regards to how I got into motivational speaking, it literally started, I would say, my last year of high school. Okay. My last year of high school. Now, I'm in my 30s now, so I got to go step back.
Okay.
And I really was contemplating jumping out of, I would say, the high school in regards to just dropping out. I wanted to jump out of the expectation of me of going to high school, going to college. I just was through with it. And I was dealing with a lot of different things. Didn't have a real good relationship with my father. My mom, as a single mother, was doing the best that she could. And it's tough raising a young teenage son. I know it had to have been hard.
Yeah.
We chuckle about it today. But it got to a point where I said, I'm not going back to school. And it was my last year. And she says, so what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, but I'm just over school. I'm over it. I'm done. And she suggested to me, she said, why don't you go out to Seattle and stay with your uncle and your aunt out there? And if you think about the Fresh Prince story, it kind of relates to me. It's like, I said, you know what? Okay, I'll do it. I've never been shy about just trying something new. I was from New York, upstate New York. So that will be, a really big shift going to the Midwest. So I got on the plane and went out there. And basically to just get to how I got into what I'm doing right now, I met someone down there and his name's Calvin. I don't know if I'll ever meet him again, but the lasting impact that he had on my life, he didn't lecture me. He was the guy that worked at the local church. He took us to play basketball, and he would just share his stories, and we would learn from his stories. And he didn't say this was right, this was wrong. He said, just look how, I ended up in this situation. And we learned from that. And I said to myself, I want to have that influence on someone else. He didn't know that he was coaching me. He didn't know that he was a motivational figure in my life. And it was just all about him just being genuine and really just showing me life through experiences, not just lectures. So I get back, I leave Seattle, I graduate, and I get back to New York. And I can tell you my mindset just shifted. I said, I don't care if it's just me being around some friends or just someone that I don't know. I want to have a lasting impact on their life because you never know. You just never know that your words of encouragement might be something that talks someone out of suicide or out of having relapse. We don't understand how powerful our words are. And I understood the power of words, and I wanted to use it for good. So that's how I got into motivational speaking. It's like I said, okay, years down the line, when I made the jump to go full time into this, but that planted the seed of what you see right now is just meeting that gentleman, Calvin, who just really just showed a side of coaching. And that's the type of coach I am, is learning from experiences, taking your failures and transforming that into something that you can actually use to work for you and not against you.
I love that. So tell us a little bit more about graduating high school, because I think I thought for a second you weren't gonna. So tell us, you graduated high school, you went to Seattle, you decided this guy motivated, you came back, then where do you go from there? Like, what made you stick that out? And then are you happy you did it? And did it have anything to do with kind of next steps?
So I did graduate out there in Seattle. And I would say, me going out there, I really was, I was homesick.
Mm-hmm.
I was homesick. I'm used to fish fries. I'm used to the garbage plates up here. Guys ever heard about that? It's called a garbage plate.
No.
I was just used to home, but I knew I was not evolving. I was not growing. So I had to step out of my comfort zone, and being around him and just really just seeing that side of just someone that was a father, someone that was a husband, someone that was just doing their best in the church to help others. And I was just like, when I get back, I just want to make sure that I'm genuine in that regard. So getting back to New York, I really just started just planting the seeds on paper.
Yeah.
I wrote it down and said I eventually want to get involved in doing motivational speaking and all that. Mm-hmm. So how I started was I would record small little messages, audio messages on my Facebook page or different social media platforms, just to get myself out there, get comfortable with hearing my voice, get comfortable in seeing the response that it might have had on others. And I said, okay, what I can do is start here with recording my voice, and then eventually get up the nerve to start doing videos, get up the nerve to start really networking with people and meeting people outside in the community. And I call my company Lot W Coaching. And what happened was I was actually in a service at church. And this is how the name came about. And I'm sitting there, and I might have been tuning out the entire sermon. I might have been almost close to sleep.
Yeah.
But I heard him say, light of the world. And I don't know why I woke up around that time, but it said, let your light shine on others. And I caught that piece, and I said, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to call it. And that's the type of coaching that I want to have to influence others, is shining a light on others. And I would do it on the side, before I even get to doing this full time. But it was something that I was just like, let me just keep feeding the seed, watering the seed, and see where it grows. And standing in front of you right now, I'm just letting you know that just those small little seeds of faith, or those acts of kindness for others that I was surrounded by, has really just turned me into a tree, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I'm just making sure that I just bear fruit so that it can eventually replenish others and help them keep that inner shine or that inner glow that they have inside of them.
That's awesome. I have a question for you. You've mentioned church a couple times. Would you say, this podcast is non-denominational. I do believe in God, but everyone here is welcome. But would you say for you that you followed, is church a part of everything that you've gotten to today? Tell me more about that aspect for you.
A lot of people all the time, they ask me, how did I meet God? And really, I've met him on the highway wanting to not be here anymore.
Okay.
I wanted to give up.
Yeah.
I didn't want nothing to do with life. And I just was screaming to the top of my lungs. And I wasn't going to church. I was not reading the Bible. I was not praying, whatever it may be, whatever someone's faith is. And I heard his voice, and he said, I hear you. I empathize with you. And while you're in this car alone, I'm with you. And I had to reflect on all the different miracles I've seen in my life, things that have happened in my life that I just really said that set the tone for my faith. So I know I mentioned church a lot, but it's more about relationship with me. I can go to church, I can commune with others, but if I don't have that relationship with whoever I serve, but the relationship I serve God, that's going to set the tone, not just for the people I meet at church, but people I talk with outside of church, people that cut me off in traffic that I want to curse them out. Yeah. If I have a relationship with him, I'm going to start maneuvering and talking to people differently, operating in love. So I follow those fundamentals of what I've learned in my faith and my relationship with God. And I just bring those, so to speak, policies and procedures and implement those in my business, being kind to others, being patient with others, being loving with others. That's something even an atheist was going to believe in, believing in love and caring. So I tried to find things that we all can agree with, that we can find that commonality, so that we can thrive together.
Yeah. I am a survivor of abuse, but I'm also someone who's in recovery from addiction. And I had several spiritual experiences. So I can relate so much to what you're saying with, you found God on the freeway or highway, like that's powerful. And I like it for my listeners because I want them always to know they're not alone, and I know for me, I had my spiritual experience and God was talking to me and it got me through some very brutal, tough times. And we all have an ability to find that. And I think, when you're a message of light, you're a carrier of light. I love how you said you want to operate in love. And for me, like I like to coin this episode as operate in love and light, with Ivery. But that I really am drawn to. And I guess what I want to know is how would you say that's received by others? And I'd like you to kind of dig in, tell me a little bit about maybe when kind of you first started going in that direction, friends, family, because sometimes, and you can, it might have been a different experience for you. I feel like there's lots of supportive people, but sometimes it can be threatening to people. So I just wondered, and I think the listeners might wonder as well, how has your experience been with others receiving you being this carrier of light?
Great question. When I go around and say hi to someone, I don't say hi to someone for them to say hi back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't smile to them for them to smile back.
Mm-hmm.
I do it because it's my duty, because I don't know that smile or that words of encouragement might save their life. So I think we live in a society where it's like we do something and we want to expect something instantly. You don't know, you might get your return on investment years down the line.
Yeah.
Somebody calls you and say, did you know that conversation you had with me, like what it did for me?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get in that mentality and just say, do it just to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it to get, do it to give.
Yeah.
And that is my motto. I've had family and friends that said, oh, you want to be a motivational coach? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I know their intentions are good, but there's a calling on my life. There's a calling on your life. There's
mm-hmm.
a calling on anyone that there's a calling on everyone's life. I have to operate in my calling. This is what I was put here to do. So what I always say, you got to keep reintroducing the new version of you to your family and friends because they're accustomed to the old version of you. So it hurts them when they see the new version of you because it doesn't really relate to their expectation of you inside their mind. So they're like, you never used to do that, or you're into this now. So you got to constantly keep reintroducing that version of yourself to them. And if they don't accept it, you got to cut ties. Got to cut ties. And I'm not saying cut ties and take the love out of it, but you can love at a distance. So when I was telling people about the motivational speaking, the websites, they didn't visit it. Family and friends, they didn't visit. They didn't check it out. They only started checking it out when strangers or their friends that they said, oh, Ivery's your friend. You know him, man. The guy is doing some motivational things. That's awesome. And now I'm getting texts. Now I'm getting calls. Now people are mentioning it. But it doesn't matter because when you're on call for something and you're on purpose for something, you're not doing it for the response. You're doing it for the fact that you're aligned to your calling. I'll say something really quick. Recently, I reached out to people for interviews. So I was commenting on someone's profile. I thought they had, inner light. I could just tell. I went with my gut, like when I came across your profile.
Yeah.
And some guy commented and said, man, you only got like 7 views or 8 views, and did an LOL. And I respond instantly by saying blessings to you. And he really responded after and said, man, I'm sorry. Man, I didn't mean anything by it. But what I'm just trying to say is when you're operating your calling, even the way you talk to people, the way you interact with people is going to be in love. So the old you is going to tell them a piece of their mind. Listen, this is what I want to tell you. But the person that is on their calling, on their track, nothing can take them off track because you're flowing in your calling.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, like getting to me right now. I love it. I really do. And I'm so excited that you said that about the old version, new version, and reintroducing it to the people in your lives, because so much of those of us in recovery are people that, we have to reintroduce ourselves because they're used to dealing with that old version of us. And it's hard sometimes. And I love that you said cut ties, because I don't mean to be cold, and I love that you said, keep the love in there, because at the end of the day, like, your well-being, your journey, your purpose, your health is all so important. And I think so many of us don't know how to remove people. We have this fear of doing it. And I think it can be something that's done in love, and that, there's different seasons for different reasons, and we all teach each other lessons. But I've gotten good over the years at just removing myself or removing people where I need to. In saying that, I want to ask you a little bit about, who you work with, like who is someone that you help and how have you helped them? And I guess, have you worked with any people in addiction? And if so, what are some things that you'd like to share with the listeners as maybe some strength or tidbits?
All right. I work with entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs or people that have full-time jobs that want to, start a business on the side. And these people are from all walks of life. And I guess I get to a point where people, they say to themselves, why do you want to be an entrepreneur? It's so hard. It's so tough. And quick story about that is I got laid off at one of my positions when I was at a corporate job, and the president of the company walked in and didn't close the door, just said, we're going to let you go. The board, we can't afford to open this position. We're losing money and all that. So we got to let you go. Now, think about just someone's thought process of minutes after that, I was supposed to go on a trip with my wife that same day to celebrate my birthday weekend and to go to Toronto. And I'm literally texting her. We're going back and texting about this trip. And I text her and say, they just let me go. And I said to myself, I never want to be in a position again like that when someone has the authority or yay or nay, if I can provide for my family. I don't ever want no one to have that control. So that's what put me into starting my own business. So I work with people and I let them know, use your actual gifts, what you're talented in, use that to make a business. So if you're funny, write jokes for you can actually be a joke writer. If you knit or you sew, you can create your own fashion line. I'm not telling people to do something totally brand new. I'm saying find something that you're actually good at and let's turn that confidence factor, having that confidence factor. I did have a few potential clients that they were dealing with substance abuse. And they were telling me that literally they've been a year out, 2 years out. And sometimes it doesn't even have to even be a business transaction. Sometimes I'll mentor them. I don't have to even take you on as a client. So for some of those clients, I said, listen, I just want to make sure that you're okay. I want to make sure you're good. I want to be a positive person that you can actually reach out to if you're going through tough times. So sometimes you have to understand that it's not always about the deal. It's not always about the transaction. It's about the impact. How can you impact someone? And the ones that I feel that maybe I might not be a good fit for you, maybe this is something that you don't need me right now at this moment, but let's keep in contact so we can establish, some parameters on creating a good relationship. That's something that I'm always good at doing. So yeah, I have clients from all walks of life, but I always want to make sure that I am a good fit for your lifestyle. I know a lot of motivational speakers and coaches like to say, just think it. Just write it down. But I'm a person that says you got to put the work boots on. So I tell you straight up, day one, do you want to work? Yeah. Because this is going to hurt. This is going to feel uneasy. This is going to feel uncomfortable. And I want to let you know that I need to make it feel that way for you in order for you to grow. So that's been my style and the clients that I deal with.
Yeah, I love it. Um, it's funny, you're talking about do the work and all of that, and it's entrepreneurial, aspiring for that. I was talking to the producer earlier, and he and I were just chatting about all the hurdles that come with entrepreneurship. And I, at the end of the day, love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I was joking that I had went on a vacation and I was pondering like, wow, there are people that leave and they don't worry about everything and they're not still working even though they're not supposed to be working because things are going wrong and you've got to fix it. But I love that you are coaching people on kind of how to transition maybe out of an everyday position to going after their dreams. And one thing that comes to mind, I love Steve Harvey and just listening to him. And he talks about, doing what you love and what you're talking about. And like how I think his barber ended up making so much money, and opening his own place. And then Colonel of Fried Chicken or whatever. Like he got so many no's before he ever made it, trying to peddle his fried chicken everywhere. And then it became an empire. And so I think it is great if you just do what you love. And I think more people need that person to draw that out of them. In addition to that, I was texting one of my staff yesterday. I said, I'm hard on you because I already see the future you. And you have to be willing to do what others won't do to have what others don't have. Yes. And that's it in a nutshell, correct?
I mean, that is just really just awesome advice to give to anyone. Just a lot of times people think that they're going to work on their future when their future comes. No, you got to work on your future now, right now. Take small steps. I love that Colonel Sanders story because that's just an indicator to let anyone know that it's never too late.
Yeah, because how old was he?
Yeah. I think he was in his 60s, I think. And then I think about Phil Mickelson, who just recently won the PGA championship, a major championship. And I thought to myself, he shared the story how so many people wrote him off. Yeah. He didn't have a top 10 finish that year. But what did he say? He said he worked on his mindset. He made sure his mindset was there. And he had people around him that were uplifting his mindset.
For sure.
And what happens? He makes history.
I love it. Yeah, it gives me chills. And, we all have to do our own self-talk and pep talks too. Like, I try to always relate and talk to the listeners and say, I don't wake up every day and want to do this. And I have my days where I'm uncomfortable. And I always tell myself, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Push through it. Like, you got to do all the things you don't want to do sometimes to get over that hump. And that's why I was excited we were going to have you, because I thought, this is a guy out there doing it in such a positive way. Because sometimes the other approach is just hardcore, which is great, But even you, saying some of the things you're saying right now has affected me. Like, I can be short with people. And if I am doing what I love, why can't I, access some of that forgiveness that you have? So I guess I want to ask you, like, how do you stay in this good, kind, centered space? Like, we all have our bad days. Like, what do you do to kind of check yourself?
I check myself by seeing other people that go through far more than me, and they got a smile on their face. They got a smile on their face. They're laughing, they're chuckling, and they're dealing with some really serious things. And it causes me to say, Ivory, get over yourself.
Yeah.
Get over yourself. Yeah. You're going to fail. You're going to go through tough times. And there's a song that says, no one's told me the road would be easy. The road is not going to be easy. There's roadblocks, under construction. But eventually, those roadblocks leave and the road is smooth and it's finished. And I tell a lot of my clients, people that I deal with, I say, you get any dictionary you want, and you're always going to see failure before success. I don't care. Get whatever dictionary you want. Failure is always on the road to success. So you got to go through failure. You got to go through setbacks. You got to go through tough times. I have tough days. But I check myself. I check it. I say, okay, let's feel this. Okay, why am I feeling frustrated? Because I don't want to overlook the feeling. I want to be in tune with it. And I think there's nothing wrong with getting frustrated. There's nothing wrong with getting down. Staying there is what causes the issue. So for me, I don't stay there. I visit frustration. I visit stress. I visit tough days. but I said, you are not going to be my realtor. Okay. I'm not going to stay here. I'm just going to visit. And the pandemic, in the midst of the pandemic, I created that talk show, created this show just to collaborate and connect with people from all walks of life. And I said, I just want to do it just to do it. I don't know where it's going to go, but I just want to do it just to do it. And that was in the midst of a crisis. So I just want to let anyone know that's watching this or listening to this to understand that the most beautiful things are always created in the toughest times. Great Depression, how many businesses were created in the Great Depression? The pandemic or COVID, how many great things were created? Sometimes tough times happen or come to blossom new things that we never knew that was inside of us, that was tapped inside of us, for us to just go out there and let it grow and flourish. So that is something that I just try to check me every chance I get. I check my thoughts.
I love it. Let me ask you this, Ivery. Do you believe at all in manifestation? I know you talk a lot about work. So do you believe it's a combination? What is your belief system on all that?
I believe that everything you say at your mouth is true. So if you say you're a loser, you're a loser. If you say that you're successful, you're successful. If you say you won't make it, you won't make it. If you say you will make it, you will make it. The mouth, the words you come out of your mouth, the things that you're saying, good or bad, even if you're joking. I was reading a book called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, and it says our brains can't tell the difference between if we're being serious or we're joking. So even if you're jokingly saying that you're a loser or you're an idiot or you're nothing, your brain, your mind records that. So I believe in manifestation, affirmations daily. I have to make sure that everything that's coming out of my mouth is either going to speak a curse on someone or a blessing on someone. And that's something that I'm very conscious of.
I love that. I got to stop telling everybody I'm old all the time. I tell people that all the time just because I have a staff, at my med spa, and a lot of them are young, So I was thinking as you're saying that, I got to stop saying it. My body thinks it's true because I actually don't feel that old. Okay, question for you. So we have a lot of people that listen to this at all different stages of going through some turbulent times in their life. And often associated with the struggles that they have is feeling an excessive amount of shame, feeling trapped in shame. The purpose of this podcast is to shatter the stigmas around abuse and addiction and also to shatter shame. So what would you tell someone that is trapped in shame for some kind of inspiration or way out? What would you recommend to them?
I would recommend to them that they don't know how proud they should be of themselves. They should be extremely proud of themselves, of what they've accomplished thus far. And I know we have this shame. We label. That's all we do is label society. We call someone a drunk. We call someone a coke addict, whatever, and not knowing that everybody deals with addictions. Everyone deals with addictions. But we kind of like put people in different classes of addictions. But we all are suffering from something. So I would let that person know, don't be so hard on yourself. Small wins every day, okay? I don't want you to think 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I want you to think this minute right now, this second right now. How can I conquer this minute, this second? All right? And I tell people, congratulate yourself on those small wins. Go to the store, get yourself a Hallmark card, write to yourself and say, I'm proud of you. A lot of times we're always expecting for someone else to push us on and cheer us on and saying you're doing amazing. You got to talk to that mirror every day and say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm on the way. I'm on the way. Start speaking life and understanding that you might feel embarrassed. You might feel shame based off of the opinions of others, what they think. But what someone thinks of you is their personal business. That's their entrepreneur. That's their corporation, what they think of you. But what you think of yourself matters more. So just focus on the fact of just try, make an attempt, all right? And congratulate yourself every day, because you're not going to get a better congratulations from other people like you are from yourself. So cheer yourself on, be your biggest cheerleader, and go out there and just go for it.
Yeah.
Show up and show out.
I agree, Ivory. And, I spent so much time in shame, and I can say now I don't live there anymore. And it took so much work and self-forgiveness and understanding. There's a saying, it goes something like, you can't judge a man for his past. You're prosecuting someone for someone they're not any longer. So I'm murdering that one. But something along those lines of just, I'm not who I used to be. I've changed. And, like you said back earlier in our interview, just reintroducing yourself. And I think for those trapped in shame, maybe right in the midst of something right now, I would sit there in the beginning of getting sober this last time years ago, and I would just be like, not believing everyone around me that like I could be where they're at or get out of this thing even alive. And now I'm there. And so those things can happen when you put in the work, and totally minute by minute, day by day. There was a time when I couldn't go more than a few hours without taking a drink. And, I can go all the hours now. So you can get over that hump, but it is that 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day at a time and putting in the work. At least it was for me. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about who you are today. Maybe what are some daily habits? You told us about checking yourself, but what are some things that you do on the daily to stay centered that maybe some of the listeners can try out to keep balanced and keep operating in love and light?
Definitely. And I want to say before I answer this, you're changing so many people's lives with your story. I just don't want you to overlook that your biography it's changing lives.
Thank you.
You're changing so many people's lives. So I just want you to know that.
I appreciate it.
I would say, in regards to me, who am I? I am someone that is full of enthusiasm. I am someone that I love people. My wife complains every time we go to the grocery store, can you just get the food and just leave? But I can't. I love people. And I am a father. I am a husband. I am a sinner.
Mm-hmm.
I am a failure.
Mm-hmm.
I am an entrepreneur. I am someone that is a forever student. I know not. Okay. I'm seeking more and more and more, trying to learn as much as I can. So I am an empty vessel that's just trying to be filled by society, by people, and by just the inner glow and inner shine that I involve myself with in this life. Now, my habits, there's so many of them, but there are a couple that come to mind. I recently found out that we as humans make almost 35,000 decisions a day, suffering from decision fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
So my one habit is I cut my decisions.
Mm-hmm.
I cut my decisions down. And people always wonder why Steve Jobs just wore a black shirt, Mark Zuckerberg just wears a gray shirt, and they think it's a fashion statement. It has nothing to do with fashion. It's all about decisions. They try to limit the unimportant decisions to make room for the really important decisions. So that's what I do. If you have, let's say, if you have a high increase, an increase in decisions, your quality of decision making, your outcomes are going to be horrible. But if you lower your decisions, the quality goes up. So for the first habit, I make sure that things that I actually can control, like what I wear, whatever, I make sure that it's just standard. It's really simple and it's already in place so that I don't have to make a decision about it the next day. So I have it the night before already planned out. So that can be from what I eat to what I wear to the people I'm going to talk to, the people that I'm going to interact with. No, I can't talk to you this week. I know every time I talk to you, you bring me down. Everything has to be on your schedule because I'm telling you, when those really important decisions come, you don't have time to going back and forth with something that doesn't really hold that much value as opposed to something that does have value. So that is decisions. Next one is reading. A lot of people just read to read. They tell people they read a 300-page book, a 500-page book. They feel good about themselves. I literally read to do. I'll read a book, and then when I come across something that I can implement, I close the book and go try it out. So my suggestion to people out there right now is start reading to do. Start reading to execute. If you're reading biographies, that's the best way to learn someone's habits. someone very successful, they're going to talk about the stuff they're reading, the people that they're engaged with. So I make sure that when I read books, it's all about how much I use in order to implement in my businesses, my relationships, and etc. Finally, the last thing I do is I make sure that my mindset is positive. And I know this right here is something that a lot of people suffer from because they want to know how to do it. If you're having a negative mind, a mind full of it's just full of negativity, you're going to have to pre-record positive thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I know it sounds weird. You have to pre-record positive thoughts. You're going to have to record it on your phone, and you're going to have to actually write it down on a piece of paper and go over these thoughts daily to a point when a negative thought tries to come in, you already have weapons of mass destruction towards those negative thoughts. So you're going to have to rehearse positive thoughts. You don't just get positive thoughts. You got to actually rehearse it because your brain has been on autopilot for quite some time. So now it's like, I'm going to tell you what to think. I'm going to say it's going to be a bad day. I'm going to say that it's going to fail.
Mm-hmm.
And you end up working for your brain,
mm-hmm.
you know, working for your mind. Mm-hmm. So I just will let anyone know that in regards to positive mindset, pre-rehearse your positive thoughts so that you can actually have a positive mindset throughout the day.
I love that. And this has been honestly so influential. And I know the listeners are going to get so much from it. So before we part, I'd like to ask you, Ivery, if you could share just all the ways they can find you if they want to get more of this strength, light, and hope.
Definitely. You guys can reach out to me on Instagram. It's Ivery85. You can check me out on TikTok at Ivery Mckee. You can check me out on YouTube for the ones that don't request my services. I actually have motivational content for free on YouTube on my Lot W TV channel. Check out that. In regards to coaching, you can actually book a session on lotwcoaching.wordpress.com, and you'll be able to schedule your appointment directly through that website. And yeah, I think I got all from Twitter. Also Lot W Coaching on there as well. So that's how you can reach me. And like I said, even if you don't take me on as a coach, I still would like to mentor you and give you some nuggets of positivity.
I think we could all use some of your nuggets of positivity. And honestly, Ivery, I plan on continuing to follow you, keeping in touch. And I'm so thankful for you joining us today. Listeners, thank you so much. I don't know about you, but I feel like today was really, really fun. We got a lot from this. I feel really good about the day and motivated, and also just motivated to be kinder. And so for that, I really thank you, Ivery. Guys, if you want to catch up, learn more about abuse recovery success, check out our website, abuserecoverysuccess.com. You can also find video content on our YouTube channel, April Hill, and then you can follow me on TikTok or Instagram under April_the Hills, and then lastly, Abuse Recovery Success on Facebook. Thanks for joining in on another episode of Abuse Recovery Success, and quite an uplifting one at that. Bye, guys.
There's no game that's too hard.